For the sake of time, if you don't want to turn, it's okay, because I will be quoting a lot of scripture throughout these lessons. I always do. But 2 Corinthians 10:12 says, "For we dare not make ourselves of the number or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves. But they, measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves, are not wise." Are not wise. So if it's not wise to compare, why do we do it? Are we going to say the marketers made us do it? We've got to stop and think, ladies. Do you know that there's a generation running up behind us that we're getting ready to pass a baton to? And do you know what they see in front of them in the race? A bunch of fretful women. Worried about what? Worried sick because there's a lot of unsaved family members? No. Worried sick because my roots are showing. Worried to death because, oh, I got on the scale and it said I gained 5 pounds and all I had was sushi yesterday. Fretting to death because I used to wear a size 0. The girls that are running up behind us, stand up, Lindsay. This is my helper today. She's your girl. She's my girl now. You can sit there. That is the young lady that's running behind me in the race. And I'm going to pass her a baton. Is it going to say all over that baton, fret, fret, fret until you die? Or am I going to hand her a baton firmly in hand that says, here's how you run your race, with confidence in the Lord, with a purpose in your life, knowing that you were here, you were created to be a wise woman, a discreet woman, a pure, godly woman, a woman who loves her husband, who loves her children, who's beneficial in the ministry. Here's what we're here to do. God said so I can show you in Scripture. Now just do that. Here, follow me. Is that what we're doing? Nope, I think we're scaring these girls to death. And I think we need to stop. Because some of them don't want to grow up. Is it any wonder? Would you want to? If you were looking ahead of you in the race and you saw that it doesn't get better after high school? That's a robbery. So we've got to consider this. We need to stop comparing. Stop comparing what? Stop comparing positions, possessions, or abilities. Positions, well, those are temporary. Possessions, well, those get old. Abilities, those can change. But we will look around and measure ourselves. Oh, I wish my life would be so much better if my husband was the pastor. I could be a better pastor's wife. You know what, dear Patty? Trish? Patty Trish? Trishy Pat? There are people that sometimes look at your life with envy. You're trying hard to stifle a grin because you're thinking, they don't know the half. But the life of a pastor's wife, I want to be her. She's the queen. When she shows up, all the loyal subjects bow down. Why, I could do that. I could do it better. Oh, isn't that just crazy? Here's the real deal. Because I've got a lot of homegirls that are pastors' wives, right? And their husbands get calls at all kinds of hours, interrupting all kinds of family functions. Or maybe all they wanted to do was go have dinner. And one person said, "Oh, Pastor, I've got to have counsel with you right now because it's burning down around my ears." And she goes and sits and waits or works in her office or maybe goes home and meets him later. And maybe it gets too late and maybe the date has to be canceled. The life of a pastor's wife. We don't know even a fraction. But we do know this much. It's not what it looks like. We have to be so careful not to ever envy anybody their position in life. Be so content where you are. Wherever God has placed you, He put you there on purpose. And those possessions are for you. You know what? It's not going to be like this, girls. It isn't going to be a matter of he who dies with the most stuff wins. No, it's going to be more like this. He who dies with the most stuff, then all the beneficiaries get a lot of stuff. Because, baby, you can't take it with you. And even though people try to be buried in their cars, I've heard of that. Crazy kind of stuff from other states. But it doesn't matter. So then they get to go in the ground with body sheet metal all around them, and it's still rock right with them. We have to get so level on these things. Don't compare these things. And here's another thing not to compare. Stop comparing yourself with other women. Now that's different. It's more than the positions, possessions, abilities. It's when you look around and you think, she's so beautiful. I wish I could look more like that. Oh, hold the phone a minute. Why? You know what you have? You have what I have. You have a body that carries her own soul. You have a spirit that one day is going to leave this body, and the body will begin the immediate process of decay. If you know anything about biology, you know that the instant that a person dies and the soul leaves the body immediately begins to decay within seconds, instantaneous. Now, that's really impressive. So, let me get this straight. You want your instantly going to decay shell to look like somebody else's instantly going to decay shell. Am I getting it right? I'm trying to get you to see how we can get trapped in silly thinking. All bodies are dying shells in the process of different stages. The young bodies, they're such a marvel. And how many of you have ever had this thought? Enjoy it while you got it. Where did that thought come from? It came from the fact that you're acknowledging that life is temporary and things change. And gravity helps. And then you start getting to the stage in life where you think something like that's not such a bad idea. Because you're in there longer. We don't want to compare. Reduce your immediate exposure if you need some help there. Because if you spend too much time looking at the images from Hollywood, you will get a warped self-image. You will not have a normal image as a woman. You will have a warped self-image. I promise you. I do not watch network TV. Any chance that I get to see it, if I'm in an airport or trapped somewhere else where they're dangling TVs from the ceiling because they think we'll die if we don't have a TV. Well, when I see them, I go into shock. And I sit there with my mouth hanging open and I have to remind myself, close your mouth, don't be a mouth breather. Stop. But I'm shocked because the images are shocking to the eye that doesn't see them all the time. Newscasters used to wear buttoned-up suits and blouses that came up with high necks and they looked all professional. Newscasters look like harlots now. When did that happen? Well, see, now I, who am in the dark, on purpose, by choice, I turn on the news of CNN if I'm, or if I'm at the airport and it's already turned on for me. I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, where does your blouse end? I mean, really, what are they doing? What are they selling? And I thought it was the news. Do you see what this society is doing? And they're contaminating your thinking so that you will think, there's something wrong with me if I'm not an eternal babe. No, there's nothing wrong with you at all. You are what you're supposed to be, and they are in the land of unreality, also known as fake. And we don't want to copy that what's fake. And finally, stop comparing your former self with your current self. I used to be fill in the blank. Knock it off, ladies. Everybody used to be a baby once. Do you want to go back there and be in Pampers? We need to quit that. Again, it doesn't make sense, but it's a good enemy tactic because it keeps us stuck in a loop we can't get out of. I used to be I mean, I have lost track of the number of times I've heard ladies have that kind of conversation, and I think, you stop that. You're just hurting yourself. And the enemy loves it when we don't love what God has given us. And so be grateful and be kind, but most of all, stop comparing. Number 2, another image issue. Take care of yourself, but trust God with the outcome. Take care of yourself, but trust God with the outcome. Now, Psalm 139, verse 14 says, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. You know, we really are marvelous creations when you really think about it. I mean, blood coursing through veins by miles, a heart that knows how to beat and when, breath, lungs, everything about us, brain, kidneys, all these organs, all these fascinating pieces of equipment that God gave us. And if one malfunctions, we know about it. I'll tell you, because it talks to us, doesn't it? I mean, how many of you have ever had absolutely severe heartburn because you ate something you weren't supposed to? That was your body back talking to you about that meal. It said, that'll learn you to be eating that red pepper stuff. Whatever it is, no matter what happens, when something goes wrong with the body, we know about it. And then that's when we often will stop and think about how incredible the body is. But we want to take care of ourselves, but we don't want to become these kind of women that are hyperventilating over that either. You realize, don't you, that your best care may not look like someone else's care. How many in here exercise at least 3 times a week? Let me see your hands. Okay, how many in here are very meticulous? You're kind of picky about your dietary intake. Don't tell me what diet you're on. I mean your nutrition. You're taking good care of your nutrition. Let me see your hands. Okay. You know that every single one of those hands that put their hands up, they all look different. But they all raised their hands and told me they're doing things that are good for their body. You know what I'm trying to tell you? It doesn't really matter what anybody in this room does. We're not all supposed to even look alike. Hello? But if you watch enough TV and you see enough commercials, you all think we're supposed to all look alike. One size, one shape, one form, one kind of hair, everything. And guess what? That market is going downline to our young girls. And included in that package are eating disorders. And our poor girls are buying that hook, line, and sinker. And part of the reason is because they're seeing defects here, defects there. Where do I go? And just like the computer, they go to the default mode. Where's the easiest spot to go? Follow the masses. We are supposed to be the masses for our young girls. What do they see when they look at us? What do they hear when they overhear our conversation? What happens if they happen to go out and share a meal with us? You know, have you ever taken teenage girls with you out with the older girls? What do they hear at the table? I can't eat that because I'm on a diet. Well, what'd you go to the restaurant for? I will never forget the time that I was taken out by a big old group of ladies, and we go to this restaurant and they said, you will not believe, Francie, they have onion rings to kill for. And they know that that's one of my things. I love onion rings. I mean, I love onion rings so much that I'd like to count them as their own food group. And I said, ooh, I'm ready, I'm hungry too, let's go. So we get there, we sit down, the person seated directly across from me said, did you notice I've lost 35 pounds? I don't touch those. Do you want to go to dinner with somebody who's going to tell you they don't touch the food that's in front of them? Are you one of those kind of people? We have got to get a hold of ourselves here. Take care of yourself, but don't torture other people with the details. Laughing because you know what I mean, you torturers. So what do we have for a prescription? Here's your simple prescription. Nutrition, exercise, rest, clothes that fit, and finally wrap it up with this bow. Remember that we're not in charge.